Welcome to the channel, people. Today we're inside my favorite thrift slash consignment store, whatever you want to call it, and I'm just looking for some goodies, something different, something to flip and make beautiful for this video. And I came across this wooden gem right here. It looks like it might have held a candle. I don't know, but for $1 we're gonna get it and do something to it. I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me here, people. I was like, hold on a minute, this looks familiar. And it is a chalkboard on the back. It's literally like the same thing as the last flip video, only this is smaller. I mean, what are the odds? You know we're gonna have to flip this again completely different because that's how I roll. To start, this one was in rough shape compared to the other one. I noticed this giant gaping hole in the chalkboard. Oh Lord, there was also some other issues I recognized later in the video I'll point out. But recently in a Dollar Tree browsing video, I discovered this little gem, and I had the inspiration from the sticker to do something on the back of this piece. So I had to go through all my stencils to find just the perfect one for this particular project. And I found this beautiful gem right here, which I've actually used in one of my WooD DIY videos before in case it looks familiar. Now I like to use Dixie Belle's White Lightning Cleaner to clean my pieces. You can use card cutter, that would work just fine too. I do put this in a spray bottle. It doesn't recommend to do that on the cleaner, but I do it. It works just fine for me. Just make sure whatever cleaner you're using, you also wipe down your piece with water to get the residue off. I also clean this off camera for you. And look, the tape and whatever this hole is, it really is missing part of this chalkboard. So there's also a hole up here. There's cracking in it. I'm just gonna have to repair the entire thing. So the best thing for me to do is just to sand the whole piece down. I purchased these half-a-wood beads off Amazon. They're white, so they're kind of already painted. I unfortunately didn't think that through. When I purchased them, they were just cheap, and I was like, oh, they're white, and didn't realize that once I got them, they were going to be kind of shiny. So see this? They're like shiny, painted, white, glossy finish. So I'm not actually going to be able to use my wood glue because I won't feel fuzzy inside putting this glossy finish on with wood glue. So I'm using my Gorilla Glue gel to attach these, and I'm spacing the pieces out fairly far. I didn't want them right on top of each other. I was going for, like, I don't know, I was just being artsy with this video, people. So I might title the video just Artsy Decor because I didn't really have an aim. I just wanted to make some stuff. I'm at the point where I'm like, I got a YouTube channel. What are we doing this week? I felt like this week, I'm like, we're just gonna make some stuff from the thrift store. Okay, get myself together. In all seriousness, the tool I showed you just a couple seconds ago, I used to scrape any extra Gorilla Glue gel that it was around the half beads, so that way it doesn't show through in clumps with the paint. I didn't put any beads in this area right here because I'm going in my patio and finding some thin strips of wood here, and I cut them to size so this way I can put on the top part so I can drill holes later to put a rope through, so this way we can hang this on the wall. Now these I can use my Type-On wood glue to attach, and I also clamp them down and let this just straight sit overnight. And no, I didn't have to put these on the top here. I could have probably just drilled holes through, but I wanted the decorative aspect of the piece of wood at the top where I was going to do the rope. In my mind, this is where we were going. Just roll with me, okay? And there are some days I feel like there should be a form somewhere at Home Depot or Lowe's that you have to fill out to be able to be authorized to use certain things like these clamps. I don't know why I'm like struggling to always figure out how to just push them down right. Once everything was dry, I started tugging on it to make sure it wasn't going anywhere, and then I thought this would be a great time to demonstrate why I love the wood glue and the Gorilla Glue gel so much. And I left the sound on so you could hear that I'm really banging on this thing. I decided to go with Dixie Belle's drop cloth to paint this. It's a little bit darker than I would say, you know, Waverly's plaster. I just was going for a cream look, and then this started to happen with my favorite paintbrush. I finally just had enough and then just, you know, got really petty. Once it was all dry, I noticed that there was a crack in it, and then I had to fix it. I'm like, man, this wasn't even worth $1. All the trouble it's causing me. So I took my Dried X Spackling, which is cool because it's pink and then it's white when it's dry, so it doesn't even require me to rub 2 brain cells together to figure out when I continue on with my project. Just make sure that you sand down whatever area you use spackling on. For our next part with our stencil, we're going to use all these colors, starting with the plaster, and I'm using that as a base. Like I said, it is slightly lighter than this drop cloth color by Dixie Belle. I know it's not completely covered. This is exactly how I wanted it. I wanted the piece to look old, and then I'm taking some scissors and cutting the stencil up to fit where I want it to go in my piece. And don't worry, I'm not wasting. I've used a stencil several times and I've just got lazy with cleaning it, so I'm ready to retire it. To help with bleed through of the colors, I'm taking some of the plaster paint and I'm just doing a very thin layer over top of the stencil. You can use Mod Podge. Some people I have heard say that Mod Podge does not work for them. So here's just another little tip to help try and control the bleed through, or to minimize it, that is. For the stencil art, I just took a tiny paintbrush and alternated the colors, blending them in certain sections till I was happy with it. It is a good idea whenever you're blending anything to use 3 brushes. You use a blend brush, and then one brush has one color, one brush has the other, and then you come back in and you blend them. I didn't go into grave detail. I figure I'd just kind of tell you guys, you get the idea of it. And you can see how I'm doing it here in the video. This section was already long enough and I was scared I was gonna lose y'all. Now I know some of y'all want the longer videos, but I don't know everybody wants me for like 20 minutes at a time. So I'm trying to spare yous, okay? I don't know how entertaining I am. I love to take one of these dotting tools to add just extra little embellishments and then blend in little pieces. And for me, this stencil turned out so pretty. This piece for me was something you would see in a nursery, and on the chalkboard you would write down your child's height as they grow if you didn't want to use your baseboard or your door, you know, the door baseboard. I have used this plaid chalkboard paint before, and especially I've even used it on glass, and it works magnificent. I haven't had any issues with it. I did have to do several coats to get a good finish. Here is the first one. You can still kind of see the damage through after just the one coat. And then here is the second one. It's getting better, but I did 3 and I'm happy with the third. This will eventually go for sale on my website, but the cure on that chalkboard paint's like 28 days, and I need to feel fuzzy inside before I sell it out. To finish it off, I added some gilding wax to kind of make it old looking, and then sealed it with some Dixie Belle's clear coat. People, we're getting real artsy and real medieval on this piece. That's where I went with it. I absolutely loved it. And when I really looked at the bottom of this, I was like, I know exactly what I'm gonna do with it. Especially because I wanted to keep that red felt on the bottom there. So I'm taking this mold and we're going to use my favorite clay. This is my creative paper clay. And I'm going to just kind of mold it up. This stuff is beautiful. If you've never used clay or created things with clay, this stuff is really easy to work with, and that's why I love it so much. It doesn't require a lot of molding, and it doesn't require a lot of straining on your hands to really get something in place. It also doesn't crack very bad once it's dry. The worst part is just waiting for it to dry, because I like to let these dry anywhere from 6 to 24 hours. But look how beautiful that is. And make sure if you're not, you know, really great with getting them out the mold, you're putting in a little bit of cornstarch over your mold. Now, WooD, I love to apply wood glue on the back of this and mold it in place whenever I'm using wood anything with these, which is really honestly most of the time. Just be very delicate as you're pressing, and this is going to take patience. It took me a good 15 minutes to really get this on this cup in that shape, so I didn't mess up any of the raised engravements on our little mold. But you know, just to be safe, you can gently put a little piece of tape over it to make sure that it's okay. Once it was dry, I then went in with the absolutely wrong paintbrush. I don't know why I grabbed that, and then I switched that out for a better one. I don't know why I was having a brain fart with that paintbrush right there. I usually use the acrylic brushes to get into all those little grooves in our clay pieces. But anyhow, back to the important parts. So I'm using several different color paints to try and blend here, and in the process of opening my paints, I made a mess on the side of the table. And then as I'm trying to clean up the mess, I accidentally put my fingers in it. And in an effort to not waste anything, I am just brushing my fingers off on the thrift. I know you're judging me. It's okay. Okay, I judge me too sometimes. Remember I said the red felt was what inspired me to create this? Well, I'm going to keep it, like I said, and I'm just going to paint around it. If you don't have a steady hand, tape that sucker off, okay? I have confidence in my painting skills, okay? Not crapping on nobody, so don't get offended, okay? I just know what I'm capable of. I don't know what you're capable of, okay? All right, I'm rambling. Now, for this piece to look like one cohesive unit, I blended several different colors of gray up to the black. I used a different brush for each color and then one blending brush, and made sure I was cleaning out the blending brush as I went to keep the actual like trace of our embellishment really, really light. So once we finish it off, you'll see in a second, it pops out. To bring the top of this out a little bit, I'm just going over with a little bit of black gilding wax, and then I'm coming in with some silver gilding wax, and this is what is going to tie all the colors together. It's going to make our light gray blend with our black and with the dark gray on the cup. And to me, this piece is just stunning. That's right, people, there is a third project. I know I just showed you two things I picked up at the thrift store, but that's because I picked this up our last thrift video and I said I had more ideas. So welcome to another idea for these spindles. I did stop at Home Depot to get a piece of wood. I was not thrilled about the $10 and change I had to spend on this, but I figure I'll get more projects out of it in the long run. Hopefully it'll all even itself out in the budget somewhere. For this project, you could really make it as big as you want. You could use as many spindles as you want. I'm making it fairly small and using just 2 spindles. Now these suckers just pulled right out the other side after I cut the other 2 off, so I'm just cutting the little tips off here. I'm going to be drilling holes into there anyway, so we don't really need the tips of them, so just got rid of that. We're going to use just a simple toothpick to shove in our spindles. So I'm looking at my beautiful little kit I got over Christmas. Some women dream of jewelry and perfume for gifts. I dream of tools and Mod Podge. You always want to make sure your drill bit is slightly bigger than whatever you plan on shoving it in the holes. So I decided that I was going to go small for this because I'm also going to create a back as far as our stable, you know, toothpick piece we're shoving in here. And honestly, you can go as thick as you want with the dowel pieces. I just knew that I was creating a backing on this and I just wanted something to make sure those spindles were not going to move. Now, these gator things, I am still, or miter shears, Lauren, you're gonna attack me in the comments on that one. They're not for every job. I do approve of them and appreciate them for like the dowels and, you know, these toothpicks. They work great. But see how I can shove them in there, and then I'm able to just use these again to get a nice cut. I love them for that. But you'll see in a couple minutes, they don't do what I feel like they should do for everything I feel like they should do it for. Maybe I just have unrealistic expectations. I don't know. But another thing I like to do whenever I'm using wood glue and attaching pieces like this is add a little bit of your wood shavings. Just sprinkle it on there like Parmesan cheese. You're not going to hurt nothing. I like it. It like kind of gives the wood glue like a little bit of meat. And here's me just showing you how I jacked this up so it could sit and dry overnight. Now I'm here to tell you, if you plan on creating this key holder, because that's what we're making because I ain't said it, without a backing, it's going to be, it might not hold well. I would create a backing, but you know, you do you. As I was cutting these paint sticks, they chipped off and I'm like, oh no, it's going to cut another one. But I'm like, you know what? I kind of like this. It's going to add to the feel of our piece. So I'm just going to leave it here. This right here, this is a shim, and I feel like these miter shears should cut this sucker. Why it's not, I don't know, but I don't like it. Look at that, this is ridiculous. It should cut it. It shouldn't even be an issue. I shouldn't even have to bat an eye at it, but okay. But like I said, maybe I have unrealistic expectations. You can use popsicle sticks if you want to. I just had shims like sitting right next to me, so that's why I used it. And yes, I'm using the front part of the measuring pieces because I'm painting over them. We're gonna decoupage and we're not gonna see the numbers, so the back of our project will look nice too. In case you're wondering where I got the napkin from, I have it for sale on my website. I do have napkin kits now. They are limited to whatever kit they're in. When they're sold out, they're sold out. Napkins do have a second layer, sometimes a third, and you can just take a little bit of Mod Podge on the tips of your finger to easily pry that up. To make sure I'm putting this napkin in the center, I just kind of marked it, and then I'm starting from the very tippy top with the Mod Podge. You can Mod Podge however you want. Whenever I do napkins, I recommend using a light, small application in a small area and then move down or outward or upward or whatever works best for you. Just small area, small application, and then spread it out. Sometimes if you use a lot of Mod Podge, in my experience, the napkin will rip because it's kind of all just soggy. It's soggy. And I like to use a sponge. This is a dry sponge. It's not a wet sponge. I have people ask all the time if it's wet. It is dry, and I use that to help me move the napkin along with the Mod Podge. I also go over the napkin with a layer of Mod Podge. I have a lot of people ask that as well. Yes, go over the napkin. I am taking some different, now you can do this in any way you want, but I am just creating a very light weathered look, and I'm using several different colors to accomplish that, and kind of just taking a brush and just wiping it all over the piece. The beautiful thing about creating weathered look is you can really just blend several different colors together to get that. This is a gross paintbrush. It's got crusty bits all in it, but you know what? It's gonna create an amazing distressed look, and I can't give nobody else credit for this. Like, I discovered this on my own. So I just literally scraped this hard paintbrush all across it very lightly. I loved the effect of this. It was also really quick and easy. I was able to distress this piece in under a minute. Aside from this, I had to give you guys like a little close up so you could see the magnificence that I was seeing. So get you your own crusty bit paintbrush and then distress away, my people. I got your back. I got you. To attach everything, I used my staple gun and some wood glues, so I know once I sell this piece, it is not going anywhere. I also put in some sawtooth hammer in hangers on the back. I also finished the piece off camera, and then we're gonna add on our little hooks or handles that we got from Hobby Lobby. Thank you so much for joining me today, people. I hope you didn't mind this random artsy thrift video. Didn't really have a theme going on. I just wanted to create some beautiful stuff. I hope I nailed it for you. Let me know in the comments below if you had a favorite today, and I hope you got some learning and some entertainment while you joined me. Until next time, bye.